Trump in surprise after IBRAHIM TRAORÉ reveals his hidden past lies on live TV. It is May 25, 2025. The world holds its breath. CNN's global broadcast begins with a split screen. Two men, two continents, two realities colliding in real time. On one side, Donald Trump, the former American president, businessman, and master of spectacle, sits in CNN's Atlanta studio, adjusting his signature red tie, exuding confidence like armor. On the other, IBRAHIM TRAORÉ, young, composed, and resolute, appears from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, seated before a backdrop of quiet dignity. Millions watch, expecting politics as usual. A debate between an African leader and a former U.S. president? Just another headline, another soundbite. Another fleeting moment in the endless churn of media. They are wrong. Trump leans forward, ready to dominate. He smiles that well-known smile, sharp, self-satisfied, always a half step ahead. His posture screams control. Across the globe, IBRAHIM says nothing at first. He stares directly into the camera. No bravado, no posturing. Just silence, heavy, deliberate. Something feels off. Reporters in the studio shift uncomfortably. Analysts whisper predictions, but the audience senses it already. This will not be ordinary. This is not performance. This is reckoning. IBRAHIM speaks first. "Mr. Trump," he says, voice calm but firm. "Do you recall Operation African Diamond?" The name drops like a grenade pin. Silence. Trump stiffens. His confident smirk fades. Eyes flicker. The man who once declared, "I never lose," suddenly looks uncertain. He blinks rapidly. Something in his expression shifts. Barely perceptible, but unmistakable. Recognition. Fear. IBRAHIM lifts a document into frame. It bears a familiar signature. Unmistakably, Trump's bank transfers, voice logs, contracts tied to militia funding, proof of millions funneled into illegal mining operations across Africa. The screen flashes images, names, numbers, locations, the truth laid bare. Trump's hands tremble slightly. He grips the edge of the desk. His mouth opens, then closes again. No response comes. IBRAHIM's voice hardens. "This isn't speculation," he says. "This is your signature, your silence bought with blood." Behind him, the screen erupts with visuals: scorched villages, children crying over lost parents, rivers poisoned by mining waste, families displaced, lives destroyed. The footage plays without music, without narration, only reality. The studio buzzes with whispers. Reporters scramble for notes. Anderson Cooper struggles to maintain composure. The world realizes, this isn't politics, this is tribunal. Trump tries to speak. He stammers. Words fail him. His jaw tightens. His face pales. For the first time in public memory, he looks defeated. Exposed. Live. On global television, his carefully curated myth and of invincibility of dominance cracks wide open. He blinks rapidly. Tries to regain control, but the mask slips, and the world sees what lies beneath. Anderson Cooper hesitates. He knows protocol demands neutrality, but the moment defies balance. The studio falls silent. Viewers watch, stunned. There is no spin, no rebuttal, no clever retort, only the undeniable weight of evidence, and the visible unraveling of a man who believed himself untouchable. IBRAHIM lifts another document, and then a photograph. Trump shaking hands with a notorious warlord responsible for mass civilian deaths in Chad. Gasps echo through the studio. The image freezes on the screen. Trump's face goes white. He mouths something, denial or panic. It doesn't matter. The proof is there, inescapable. IBRAHIM leans forward, unflinching. "You thought Africa was silent," he says. "Tonight we are heard." The camera lingers on his face, calm, determined, a stark contrast to Trump's unraveling. His eyes do not waver. His voice does not shake. This is not anger. This is justice. Silence fills the airwaves. No one claps. No one interrupts. Just stunned viewers across continents absorbing what they've witnessed. The fall of an empire built on lies. History is being rewritten live, and no one can look away. The split screen remains, but the balance has shifted. Trump, the once unshakable titan, is broken. Ibrahim, the young reformer, stands taller than ever. The screen captures both men, one crumbling under exposure, the other rising with conviction. Two legacies collide. Only one survives. Twitter erupts. Traoré vs. Trump. Trends globally. News anchors abandon scripts. Protests begin outside Trump Tower. Social media explodes with clips of Ibrahim's revelations shared billions of times. BBC calls it the most shocking political collapse in modern history. The world watches, stunned. Because tonight, the stage was set, and one man shattered the illusion of power. Ibrahim stares into the lens, voice steady. "You thought you could exploit Africa without consequence," he says. Tonight, the world sees the truth. Fade to black, the hook lands, and the story must continue. Ibrahim Traoré wasn't born into power. He was born into struggle. In the dust-choked alleys of Ouagadougou, he learned resilience not in classrooms, but on the streets. His rise to Burkina Faso's presidency wasn't paved with privilege. It was carved through defiance. Defiance against corruption, against foreign exploitation, against silence. He grew up watching his people suffer under deals signed by men who never saw the consequences of their greed. Deals that promised development but delivered destruction. And now, as president, Ibrahim stood at the threshold of history, armed not with weapons, but with truth. Donald Trump built his name on dominance. Skyscrapers, rallies, headlines, each a monument to ego. But beneath the glitz lay a darker empire. Shell companies, backroom deals, and silent wars fought in Africa for profit. His business empire thrived not just on real estate, but on influence. On contracts signed in boardrooms far from public scrutiny. On transactions hidden behind layers of offshore accounts. For years, rumors swirled about his ties to African militias, illegal mining operations, and secret funding streams. Few believed they'd ever see proof. Fewer still thought anyone would dare expose it, until now. Decades after colonial borders were drawn, the fight continued, not with rifles, but contracts. Western corporations masked exploitation under the guise of development aid. They stripped mineral wealth from the continent while leaving communities poisoned and impoverished. Ibrahim Traoré didn't see this as history. He saw it as injustice, ongoing, systemic, and deeply personal. He had studied the patterns, tracked the money, listened to the voices buried beneath corporate spin, and he knew one thing: Africa was no longer silent. For years, whispers circulated about Operation African Diamond, a covert network funding militias, controlling mines, silencing dissent across Mali, Chad, and Congo. Few believed the full story would ever surface. But Ibrahim's team had been assembling a dossier that would shake the world. Not speculation, not conspiracy. Evidence, verified, documented, unassailable. 3 years of work, billions of dollars, thousands of lives destroyed. It was time to bring it into the light. Burkina Faso's intelligence chief, Dr. Alonso Ouedraogo, had spent 3 years collecting every piece of evidence: bank transfers, signed memos, voice logs, each document verified, each source protected, each revelation carefully timed. He knew the risks, knew the cost of doing nothing was greater than the danger of acting. This wasn't just an investigation. It was a mission to expose the truth, to hold the powerful accountable, to make sure justice did not sleep. Ouedraogo placed the final file on the table. "We have everything," he said. "Now we decide how to use it." Security wasn't protocol. It was strategy. Major Umaru Sawadogo ensured every detail was locked down. Encrypted communications, safe houses, contingency plans if things went wrong. This wasn't just a debate. It was an operation. A trap set for a man who believed himself untouchable. Sawadogo reviewed the plan one last time. "If we do this," he said, "there's no turning back." Ibrahim nodded. "Then we don't turn back." When Trump called directly, offering a televised debate, it was meant as a trap, his way of humiliating an unknown African leader. But Ibrahim saw opportunity in arrogance. He accepted, with conditions. No scripts, no limits, no mercy. The moment the call ended, Ibrahim turned to his team. "He just gave us the platform we needed," he said. "Let's show him what happens when you underestimate Africa." In the dead of night, Ibrahim gathered his inner circle. "We have one shot," he said. "Expose everything or stay silent forever." Some feared retaliation. Others argued, "If we don't do this now, who will?" Ouedraogo laid out the dossier. Sawadogo outlined security protocols. Ibrahim studied each document like a soldier preparing for war. They weren't there to win. They were there to reveal. Truth, unfiltered. Justice, undeniable. Ouedraogo placed a thick black folder on the table. Inside, 340 million in illicit transactions. Connections to illegal mining, and a list of names 2,300 civilians killed in conflicts fueled by Trump-linked operations. Each name a life lost, each line a crime committed, each page a piece of history rewritten. Ibrahim flipped through the pages slowly, then he closed the folder. "This isn't just about Africa," he said. "This is about accountability." One source changed everything, a Congolese militia insider embedded within Trump's network. For 2 years, he fed information, risking death for truth. His final report: "They think they're untouchable. They're not." That message became Ibrahim's battle cry. The informant vanished weeks later, but his data remained. Proof, time-stamped, verified, irrefutable. Among the documents was a single photo: Donald Trump shaking hands with a warlord responsible for mass killings. No spin, no deniability, just proof. Ibrahim stared at it long before bed. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "they'll all know." CNN's anchor had interviewed presidents, dictators, and celebrities. But this time, something felt different. As the debate date neared, he reviewed briefing notes, sensing he was about to witness history or its unraveling. He prepared questions, checked facts, reviewed legal implications, but nothing could prepare him for what was coming. A reckoning broadcast live. News outlets framed the debate as a curiosity. Trump versus an African president few could place. Analysts speculated on style, rhetoric, optics. None suspected what Ibrahim had planned. None saw the storm coming. While Trump laughed off preparation, Ibrahim trained like a warrior. He rehearsed facts, not lines. Studied reactions, not teleprompters. He wasn't there to win. He was there to expose. Each document, each image, each name etched into his mind like a weapon. He knew the stakes. He knew the consequences. He also knew one thing Trump never considered: courage doesn't come with age. Justice doesn't ask permission. As the world slept, Ibrahim sat alone in his office. He flipped through the dossier one last time. The weight of truth pressed on him. He paused again at the photo. "Tomorrow," he said softly, "they'll all know." Outside, Ouagadougou slept peacefully. Inside, history waited to be made. The stage was ready. The cameras were rolling. The world expected a political spectacle. What they got, what Ibrahim had planned, was justice served live on air. The only question left: would Trump walk into it willingly? Trump mocks Ibrahim on the phone, confident he's toying with a naive opponent. He offers a televised debate, thinking it's an opportunity to humiliate Africa's young leader. What he doesn't realize is that Ibrahim sees it as the perfect trap, a global stage, a live audience. No scripts, no limits, just truth. In Ouagadougou, Ibrahim ends the call and immediately gathers his intelligence team. "He just gave us the platform we needed," he says coldly. Dr. Ouedraogo nods. Time to play him at his own game. They don't talk strategy, they talk execution. This isn't politics, this is justice. At midnight, Ibrahim's inner circle reviews the most damning evidence yet. A voice recording of Trump ordering the murder of a Chadian activist who opposed illegal mining. The room falls silent. This isn't corruption. It's murder. Ouedraogo places the file on the table like it's poison. Ibrahim flips through pages, eyes darkening. We show everything. Back in D.C., Trump's legal team scrambles after hearing about Ibrahim's open format demand. One lawyer warns, if he's prepared for anything, this could go very wrong. Trump scoffs. He's a nobody. I'll crush him live on TV. His aides nod, eager to please. No one dares suggest otherwise, but somewhere deep down, they feel it. Something is off. Dr. Ouedraogo places the black dossier on the table. Inside, proof of $23 million paid to militias in Mali, signed by Trump himself. This is the smoking gun, he says. Ibrahim flips through pages, eyes darkening. We show everything. No hesitation. No fear, only purpose. In Kinshasa, a Congolese operative watches the news unfold. For 3 years, he fed intelligence to Burkina Faso's agents, risking death every day. Now he texts one final message. It's time. Show the world what they did. His screen goes dark. He disappears into silence. But his sacrifice lives on. Days before the debate, an anonymous tweet sends shockwaves. The truth about Trump in Africa is coming. Be ready. Traoré vs. Trump trends globally. Analysts speculate wildly. Is this real, or just another conspiracy? Then the footage surfaces. Burned villages, poisoned rivers, children without parents. The world begins to suspect. This is no lie. This is war. Ibrahim studies each document like a soldier preparing for war. He memorizes names, faces, dates. He knows the photos of burned villages will break hearts. He knows the list of dead will haunt minds. He knows the world will watch and wonder how this went unnoticed for so long. He knows the weight of history rests on his shoulders, and still, he prepares. Trump watches clips of Ibrahim's past speeches, growing uneasy. Who does this guy think he is? He mutters, his aides reassure him. He's just a kid, you'll bury him. Trump smirks. Damn right I will. He leans back, confident, unaware that confidence is the first thing he'll lose. Ibrahim's team coordinates with European watchdogs, African intelligence agencies, and a whistleblower inside the U.S. financial system. This isn't just our fight, Ouedraogo tells them. It's justice. They share encrypted files, verify sources, cross-reference data. Every piece fits, every name checks out. The machine is primed, and soon, it will fire. Late at night, Ibrahim opens a hidden file, a list of 2,300 civilian deaths tied to Trump-linked operations. He reads each name aloud, then he closes it slowly. Tomorrow, he whispers. They'll know. He stands, looks out the window. The city sleeps, but not him. Not tonight. Global media shifts focus from American politics to an African president no one knew last week. CNN preps its biggest broadcast since the fall of dictators. Anderson Cooper reads the briefing notes. His hands tremble slightly. He senses something is coming. Something bigger than politics. Something historic. He doesn't know it yet. But he's about to witness the end of an empire. Ouagadougou sleeps. But not Ibrahim. He stands alone in his office, staring at the folder labeled Operation African Diamond. He touches the cover like it's a holy text. For them, he whispers. Outside, the wind howls. Inside, a storm brews. Major Ouedraogo briefs Ibrahim on security details. They might try to shut this down. Ibrahim looks at him. Let them try. The world needs to see what he did. The plan is set. The trap is primed. There's no turning back. As dawn breaks over West Africa, Ibrahim steps onto his balcony. He looks out over Ouagadougou, the city that raised him, the land he fights for. He knows tomorrow changes everything, and he's ready. Ready to expose the man who thought Africa was powerless. Ready to reclaim dignity. Ready to speak truth to power. Cameras roll. Lights dim. The world holds its breath. Trump sits confidently in Atlanta. Ibrahim stares into the lens in Ouagadougou. The moderator speaks. Good evening, world. The moment arrives. Truth or silence. Justice or power. One man walks away victorious. The other exposed. Trump leans forward, exuding arrogance. He lectures Ibrahim on how real leaders work, dismissing Africa as a continent in need of American wisdom. His tone is condescending, his posture dominant. The studio audience watches, expecting politics. As usual, they don't know what's coming. No one does. Ibrahim interrupts calmly but firmly. President Trump, do you recall Operation African Diamond? The name hangs in the air like an explosion waiting to happen. Trump's smirk falters. His eyes flicker, just for a second, with recognition. His confident posture shifts, almost imperceptibly, but the world sees it. The illusion begins to crack. Ibrahim lifts a document into view. It bears Trump's signature approving $23 million in payments to militias in Mali. The screen flashes the memorandum. Trump tries to deflect, but his voice wavers. The world sees it. This isn't conspiracy. This is proof. And the silence that follows is deafening. Ibrahim hits play. A snippet of a recorded conversation fills the studio. Trump's unmistakable voice approving the transfer. The room falls silent. Anderson Cooper shifts uncomfortably. Trump looks stunned, like a predator caught mid-strike. His jaw tightens. His fingers grip the desk. There is no recovery this time, only exposure. The camera lingers on Trump's face. His mouth opens once, then closes again. He wants to speak, but no words come. For the first time, he's not controlling the narrative. He's trapped by it, trapped by his own voice, his own signature, and the world watches him unravel. Ibrahim gestures to the screen. Footage rolls. Burned villages, orphaned children, rivers poisoned by mining waste, families torn apart by conflicts funded through Trump-linked operations. The studio is quiet enough to hear a pin drop. Reporters scramble for notes. Analysts stare, stunned. This isn't just corruption. This is murder. Ibrahim speaks directly to the camera. Every one of these deaths has a name. Every family destroyed paid the price for your business deals. His voice is calm, controlled, but his words cut deep. Viewers around the world feel the weight of truth settle over them. Africa has spoken, and the world listens. Social media explodes. Justice for Africa trends globally. Viewers watch clips on loop. Commentators scramble to make sense of what just happened. One thing is clear. This isn't politics anymore. This is exposure. This is reckoning. This is history. Ibrahim flips to another page. Bank transfers from Trump-owned companies to shell entities in Malta. Cyprus and Dubai appear on screen. Each line represents millions funneled into illegal mining and militia funding across Africa. The numbers tell a story of greed, of stolen lives, of silenced dissent, of a system built on blood. He reveals bribes, paid to African officials, governors, ministers, even heads of state. Payments meant to silence dissent, secure land rights, protect criminal enterprises under the guise of development. The camera pans over documents stamped with official seals. Names, amounts, dates, all verified, all undeniable. This wasn't business. This was war. Ibrahim holds up a photograph. Trump, smiling beside a notorious warlord responsible for mass civilian killings in Chad. The image is undeniable. Trump pales. His hand trembles slightly. The mask cracks completely. There is no spin, no denial, just guilt. Ibrahim stares straight at Trump. You thought Africa was silent. You thought we wouldn't fight back. But we've been watching, we've been building this case, and tonight the world sees who you really are. The words land like punches. Trump's eyes dart. He blinks rapidly. His breathing is shallow. He knows this is the end. The dynamic shifts. This is no longer a discussion, it's a reckoning. Ibrahim becomes prosecutor. Trump, defendant Anderson Cooper, steps back, sensing he's witnessing history unfold beyond journalistic neutrality. The debate is over. The trial has begun. Trump rises abruptly. He mutters something about leaving. Ibrahim stops him cold. You wanted this stage. Now let the world see what you've done. Trump hesitates. He knows walking out would be an admission of guilt. So he sits back down, defeated, exposed, helpless. Ibrahim introduces a new operation. Congo Red $67 million laundered through Trump. Organization shell companies to fund illegal extraction of coltan, a mineral essential for smartphones and laptops. Displaced families, contaminated rivers. Entire villages erased. The screen shows footage of children drinking mercury-poisoned water. The audience gasps. The world reels. This isn't business. This is genocide. Trump tries to interrupt, to regain control. Ibrahim cuts him off. You don't get to deny this. You signed every contract, you approved every transaction. You left behind a trail of crimes, and we followed it. The words echo. No one dares speak. Even Anderson Cooper remains silent, because there is nothing left to say. Only confirmation. Ibrahim pauses, then with chilling clarity. This isn't just about Africa. This is about corruption at the highest levels of American power. He presents documents linking Trump to bribes paid to U.S. senators, judges, and FBI officials. The list includes 2 senators, a federal judge, 3 FBI deputies. The names scroll on screen. The room goes still. America watches in horror. Its institutions have been compromised. Its justice system corrupted. Trump says nothing. His face is pale. His mouth opens once, then closes again. There is no defense, no escape, no comeback. There is only truth. And the world watches as the most powerful man on earth is exposed, not by conspiracy, but by his own actions. Anderson Cooper finally speaks. President Trump, how do you respond to these allegations? Trump stares ahead. No answer comes. His silence is louder than any confession. The debate ends, not with resolution, but with reckoning. As the broadcast fades to black, the world begins to process what it has seen. The President of the United States has been publicly dismantled, not by force, but by facts, by evidence, by a young African leader who turned the tables on the most powerful man in the world. The era of impunity is over. Justice has begun. Within seconds of Ibrahim's final revelation, the internet explodes. Clips of Trump's stunned silence. The list of dead. The warlord handshake. They flood every screen. Trump crimes trends globally. So does Traoré justice. The world watches in stunned silence as history is rewritten, not by bullets or bombs, but by truth. Inside the U.S. Capitol, lawmakers watch the broadcast on loop. Phones ring non-stop. A bipartisan emergency session is called within the hour. One senator whispers, "If this is real, we're looking at impeachment." No one laughs. No one dismisses it. For the first time in decades, politics falls silent in the face of justice. The FBI confirms it has launched a criminal investigation based solely on evidence presented by Ibrahim agents. Raid Trump Organization offices. Bank records are seized. Subpoenas go out before midnight. This isn't a witch hunt, it's an execution of duty, and the noose tightens fast. The African Union issues a rare unified statement. This is not just about one man. This is about justice for millions. It calls for international tribunals to prosecute Trump and his enablers under the Rome Statute. Decades of silence have ended. Now Africa demands accountability, and the world listens. At an emergency summit, France's president asks bluntly, How can we trust an ally led by a war criminal? Germany suspends intelligence sharing with the US pending further investigations. The alliance fractures. Overnight, America's moral authority collapses under the weight of its own leaders' crimes. By dawn, protests erupt outside Trump Tower. Outside embassies in London, Paris, Berlin, Johannesburg, citizens demand accountability, reparations, truth. In Mali, displaced families gather outside the US Embassy, holding photos of the dead. They chant not slogans, but names. Names that will never be forgotten. An orphan from Bamako stands before cameras. My parents died because of your deals. We were never invisible. A Congolese activist, you poisoned our rivers, now you must answer. Their voices, once silenced, now echo across continents, and the world finally hears them. BBC labels it the most shocking political collapse in modern history. CNN runs continuous coverage. Forbes reports a financial freefall. Trump's companies collapse. Banks freeze assets. Lawsuits mount. His net worth plummets overnight, not through market forces, but through exposure. Truth doesn't just hurt, it destroys. Mar-a-Lago closes its gates. Former business partners disassociate. Luxury brands drop Trump-branded products. Stock. Markets reel. Investors flee American assets in droves. The economic fallout is immediate, irreversible. The empire built on ego is now rubble. Putin calls IBRAHIM directly. Russia guarantees your security. China follows suit. Both cite threats against him from shadow networks tied to Trump. Analysts call it a geopolitical twist, non-aligned nations uniting behind an African leader. History blinks and shifts. The Nobel Peace Prize Committee announces a special award, exposing crimes against humanity and advocating justice for African people. The announcement triggers applause across continents. For the first time, moral courage overshadows power, and the world celebrates not a politician, but a principle. In a quiet but devastating move, Melania files for divorce. I had no knowledge of the crimes, she tells reporters. IBRAHIM Traoré opened my eyes to the monster I married. The final emotional bond between them breaks, and so does the illusion of family loyalty. In a televised statement, Eric declares, "We cannot be associated with a war criminal." The Trump family begins distancing itself. The dynasty fractures in real time. One by one, former allies disassociate. Even blood turns cold when guilt is global. For the first time in decades, both parties unite. The Speaker of the House declares, "If these documents are verified, this is not just a scandal. This is treason against humanity." Impeachment proceedings begin immediately. There is no defense, only reckoning. Trump attempts to board a private jet bound for Dubai. Federal agents confiscate his passport. A judge rules him an extreme flight, risk with ties to international crimes. He's trapped, not by law enforcement, but by truth. Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, and Congo file massive lawsuits for damages caused by Trump-linked operations. Legal experts say this could set precedent for future cases involving corporate war crimes. Money won't bring back the dead, but it will prove they mattered. The International Criminal Court expands jurisdiction to include high-profile figures previously protected by diplomatic immunity. The precedent is clear. No one is above the law, not presidents. Not billionaires, not criminals hiding behind power. The era of impunity ends tonight. He appears on global covers. Time, Le Monde, The Economist, hailed as a new kind of leader, one who fights not for power, but for justice. Young leaders across Africa rally behind him. He is no longer just a president, he is a movement. A coalition of African lawyers demands that Trump pay reparations to every family affected. A survivor says, money won't bring them back. But it proves they mattered. The demand spreads like wildfire. And soon, reparations become policy. Because IBRAHIM showed the world that justice isn't symbolic. It's actionable. Confined to his home, surrounded by lawyers, Trump watches the World turn against him, his once loyal base fractures. Protesters chant his name, not in admiration, in condemnation. He stares at the TV, watching his legacy collapse. And for the first time in his life, he says nothing. As the world reels from the fallout, Ibrahim sits alone in his office. A secure line buzzes. Unknown number. He hesitates, then answers. A voice says, "You've changed everything, but the fight isn't over." The screen fades to black. The next chapter begins. Within days of Ibrahim's revelations, Congress votes to impeach Trump in record time. For the first time in history, both parties unite, Democrats and Republicans alike, declaring, "This is not politics, this is justice." The House chamber erupts, not with celebration, but with solemnity. The vote is historic, unanimous on moral grounds, and irreversible. A new administration takes power, not with fanfare, but with solemnity. The new president pledges transparency, reparations for African nations, and a return to global cooperation. "We are not the country we were last week," she says. Her voice echoes across a nation shattered by exposure and ready for healing. America begins its reckoning. Based entirely on Ibrahim's evidence, the U.S. Department of Justice launches Operation Cleanup. Federal agents raid offices, seize assets, freeze bank accounts tied to Trump-linked crimes. The message is clear. No one is untouchable. Even in the shadows of Washington, no one dares speak his name without fear, because the truth has teeth, and it bites back. A senator, a federal judge, and 3 FBI officials are arrested. Their names appear on Ibrahim's list, proof of a corruption network that shielded Trump from accountability for years. The world watches as handcuffs close around once powerful hands. No immunity, no protection, only consequence. Trump becomes an international pariah. His passport is revoked. Airports deny him entry. Once loyal allies distance themselves. He retreats into silence, watching his empire collapse under the weight of truth. Confined to his home, surrounded by lawyers, he stares at the news cycle looping his disgrace. His legacy? Erased, his name reviled. And still, he says nothing. In a quiet but devastating move, Melania files for divorce. "I had no knowledge of these crimes," she tells reporters. "Ibrahim Traoré opened my eyes to the monster I married, the Yao." Final emotional bond between them breaks. She walks away, leaves behind the wreckage, and the world watches as even love turns to condemnation. In a televised statement, Eric declares, "We cannot be associated with a war criminal." The Trump family fractures publicly. One by one, former business partners disassociate. The dynasty collapses before the world's eyes, not with fire, not with violence, with silence and shame. Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, and Congo filed trillion-dollar lawsuits for damages caused by Trump-linked operations. Victims demand not just compensation but recognition. Money won't bring them back, one survivor says, but it proves they mattered, and the world listens. Reparations become policy. Because Ibrahim showed the world that justice isn't symbolic, it's actionable. The AU announces independent investigations into corporate exploitation and environmental destruction across the continent. "We will not allow our land to be poisoned again," the chairman declares. Not by Trump, not by anyone. The continent stands taller than ever, no longer silent, no longer exploited, now respected, now equal. Based on precedent set by Ibrahim's case, the ICC expands jurisdiction to prosecute powerful figures regardless of status. High-profile politicians, CEOs, generals, they now face justice, not immunity. The era of impunity ends, and a new order rises. He appears on magazine covers worldwide, hailed not as a politician, but as a moral force. Young leaders across Africa rally behind him. In Ouagadougou, students paint murals of him holding documents like a sword of justice. He is no longer just a president. He is a movement. Ibrahim establishes a global institution, training young leaders in ethical governance and anti-corruption strategies. Never again will powerful leaders escape justice for crimes against innocent people, he says at the opening ceremony. The institute becomes a beacon, proving that leadership is not about power, it's about principle. Trump is sentenced to life in prison for crimes against humanity. His name is stripped from buildings, brands, history books. He fades into obscurity, remembered only as a cautionary tale. The most powerful man in the world, brought down by a leader who believed in truth more than titles. At the General Assembly, 193 nations vote to affirm universal accountability. Justice has no borders. The resolution reads, Ibrahim stands among diplomats, heads of state, survivors. Finally, seeing change take root. Africa is no longer invisible, it is indispensable. At a Geneva summit, Ibrahim addresses the world. The era of impunity is over. Applause echoes for 10 minutes. African delegates weep openly. A year ago they were victims. Now they are equals on the global stage. As the camera pans out, the full impact of Ibrahim's actions settles in. What began as a televised debate ended as a geopolitical revolution. Justice delayed was not justice denied. It was simply waiting for the right leader to deliver it. The screen fades to black. But the story doesn't end here. It continues. In courts, classrooms, corridors of power. Because one African leader showed the world that truth could topple even the most powerful lie. And the world believes in justice again. Years have passed. Ibrahim walks through the marble halls of the International Criminal Tribunal in The Hague. The building hums with quiet authority, justice at work. He stops before a plaque etched in bronze, established in honor of those who dared to speak truth to power. His fingers brush its surface. It bears no name. But everyone knows whose courage gave birth to this place. He is no longer just a president. He is a symbol of justice that outlived the most powerful criminal of his time. A man who once ruled nations, from a gilded tower now sits behind bars, because one African leader stood firm and exposed him. Outside, young leaders from across Africa and beyond train at the Traoré Institute for International Justice. They debate. They study. They strategize, armed not with weapons but with facts, integrity, and conviction. This is Ibrahim's legacy. Not power, not politics. Principle. The camera pans over a wall inside the institute. Dozens of photos line its surface. Orphans, activists, villagers, elders. Each face tells a story of loss. Each image serves as a reminder. Justice delayed is not justice denied when someone dares to act. The world watches their names again, not as statistics, as people. Flashback to Ibrahim addressing the UN General Assembly. The era of impunity is over. Applause thundered for 10 minutes. African delegates wept openly. The world listened, not because he demanded it, but because he earned it. Trump sits in a federal penitentiary, stripped of influence, wealth, and dignity. His name is erased from buildings, brands, history books. Once, the most powerful man on earth, now remembered only as a cautionary tale, a monster unmasked by truth. A year after the broadcast, Trump was indicted on 347 federal charges, extradited to The Hague for war crimes. Ibrahim had turned hunter into hunted, with surgical precision, unshakable resolve, undeniable truth. The documentary shifts to Ouagadougou, Kinshasa, Bamako. Streets, once filled with fear, are now lined with banners. We are seen, we are heard, we are equal. African nations thrive under a new paradigm, no longer exploited, no longer silent, respected. In a quiet but devastating move, Melania files for divorce. I had no knowledge of these crimes, she tells reporters. Ibrahim Traoré opened my eyes to the monster I married. The final emotional bond between them breaks, and so does the illusion of family loyalty. In a televised statement, Eric declares, "We cannot be associated with a war criminal." The Trump family fractures publicly. One by one, former allies disassociate. The we. Dynasty collapses before the world's eyes. Even blood turns cold when guilt is global. Russia calls Ibrahim directly. Russia guarantees your security. China follows suit. Both cite threats against him from shadow networks tied to Trump. Analysts call it a geopolitical twist, non-aligned nations uniting behind an African leader. History blinks and shifts. The Nobel Committee awards Ibrahim a special recognition for exposing crimes against humanity and advocating justice for African people. He accepts it humbly. This is not for me. This is for all who have suffered in silence. As the camera pans out, the full impact of Ibrahim's actions settles in. What began as a televised debate ended as a geopolitical revolution. Justice delayed was not justice denied. It was simply waiting for the right leader to deliver it. Ibrahim stands alone in the tribunal hall. He speaks softly, voice echoing off marble walls. Sometimes, the greatest criminals make the mistake of underestimating their victims. And sometimes the hunted becomes the hunter. The screen fades. Silence. Then a single word appears. Justice. The documentary ends not with closure, but with consequence. The story doesn't end here. It continues. In courts, classrooms, corridors of power. Because one African leader showed the world that truth could topple even the most powerful lie, and the world believes in justice again.